In the NBA, load management has become a controversial subject, especially when it comes to prominent players taking season-long sabbatical. Fans and commentators alike are taking notice of recent allegations that claim certain players take lavish vacations during these recovery periods. Here are 7 key points highlighting the situation surrounding load management in the rumored private island parties. Number 7. Definition and origin of load management. Load management, as a concept, represents a fundamental shift in how NBA teams approach player health and performance over the course of a long and physically demanding season. The practice involves strategically resting players, particularly stars, or those with a history of injuries during certain games to reduce wear and tear on their bodies, thereby increasing their chances of performing at an elite level when it matters most, such as during the playoffs. This strategy gained widespread attention during the Toronto Raptors' 2018-19 championship season, where Kawhi Leonard became the poster child for load management. Leonard, who had previously suffered a debilitating quadriceps injury while with the San Antonio Spurs, was rested for 22 games that season, despite being healthy enough to play. Leonard put on one of the most overpowering playoff games in recent memory, demonstrating the Raptors' well-considered decision to put his long-term health ahead of immediate advantages. Though this achievement solidified load management as a valid tactic for teams, it also generated discussions on its wider league ramifications. Players being rested during regular season games, according to critics, detracts from the value of those games and unfairly disadvantages clubs that cannot afford to rest their best players. On the other hand, proponents believe it is an essential development in sports science, especially in a time when athletes are putting in longer hours and dealing with more physical strain than ever. Number 6. Increased star player absences. Fans and other stakeholders are becoming frustrated as a result of the significant increase in star player absences during regular season games that has corresponded with the rise in load management. Players like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant took delight in playing every one of the 82 games in a season whenever they could, seeing it as a mark of respect and a demonstration of their dedication to their teammates and supporters. Even when they are not hurt, it has become more and more typical for well-known players to skip games in the NBA these days. Star players now miss 5 times as many games as they did 20 years ago, according to league data from recent seasons. This trend has had ripple effects across the league. Fans who purchase expensive tickets months in advance often find themselves disappointed when players like LeBron James or Kevin Durant are rested during their only visit to a particular city that season. Beyond fan disappointment, these absences also impact team chemistry and competitiveness. When star players are frequently unavailable, teams struggle to develop cohesion on the court, which can hurt their performance in high-stakes situations later in the season. Furthermore, television networks and sponsors have expressed concerns about declining viewership for regular season games due to the unpredictability of player availability. The growing disconnect between fans' expectations and teams' priorities has made this issue one of the most polarizing topics in professional basketball. Number 5. NBA's new participation policy. Ahead of the 2023-24 season, the NBA implemented its Player Participation Policy (PPP), a historic step intended to balance player health and fan satisfaction in response to growing criticism of load management tactics. The policy requires star players, who are defined as those who have been selected as All-Stars or All-NBA within the last 3 seasons, to participate in nationally televised games and the recently added in-season tournament matchups unless they have a valid injury or another authorized reason, such as a personal emergency, for missing the game. Additionally, unless there are exceptional circumstances, teams are not permitted to rest more than 1 star player at a time during regular season games. The league has imposed severe penalties to ensure compliance: $100,000 for the first infringement, $250,000 for the second, and $1 million or more for future infractions. Although the NBA acknowledges that fans are frustrated when players miss important games, this strategy has also sparked debate about its fairness and viability. For example, some contend that requiring gamers to play specific games could worsen pre-existing injuries or cause the development of new ones, thereby defeating the whole goal of load control. Number 4. Allegations of extravagant vacations. The idea that some athletes use their rest days for personal leisure activities, such as lavish vacations or parties on private islands, rather than for recuperation or rehabilitation, is one of the most contentious parts of load management. There have been rumors that some NBA players have been seen taking lavish vacations when they were formally declared to be resting or recovering. For instance, there have been reports of players traveling to tropical locations or attending prestigious social gatherings while their colleagues compete without them at home. This conduct not only calls into doubt the legitimacy of load management procedures, but it also brings up more general issues of responsibility in professional sports. Are these activities being ignored by teams? Should players' rest day activities be subject to more stringent scrutiny? Even while many of these claims are still unsubstantiated, they have increased public doubt about whether load management is indeed about safeguarding player health, or if it is just a pretext for celebrities to take mid-season breaks. Number 3. Player health versus team strategy. The argument over load management ultimately comes down to a difficult balancing act between promoting team tactics for long-term success and safeguarding the health of individual players. The notion that lowering physical strain through intermittent rest might help prevent injuries like stress fractures or ligament tears is well supported by medical research, particularly for older athletes or those with a history of ailments, or if pushing that player too hard could cause an injury that would ruin their season. This tug of war frequently involves players themselves. Some, like LeBron James, embrace load management as a component of contemporary self-care practices. For example, he invests millions of dollars a year in his body, while others, like Kobe Bryant during his career, have publicly criticized it as being incompatible with what it means to be an elite competitor. Number 2. Fan backlash and media criticism. Fans and media critics have voiced their strong opposition to load management, believing it compromises the game's integrity. When fans go to games expecting to see superstars like Luka Doncic or Giannis Antetokounmpo play and learn hours before tip-off that these players are being rested despite having no evident injuries, they frequently express emotions of betrayal. Media figures like Charles Barkley have been especially outspoken in their criticism of load management procedures, labeling them disrespectful to former players who established the league's reputation through unwavering commitment and tenacity on the court, as well as to fans. Barkley and others contend that, unless they are physically incapable of doing so, today's stars have an obligation to their forebears and their fans to participate in every game. Number 1. The need for a cultural shift. The continuous debate over load management indicates that changing the rules alone would not be enough to address this problem. Professional basketball as a whole will need to undergo a cultural transformation. Unquestionably, protecting player health is crucial, particularly in light of growing awareness of chronic injuries like knee problems. However, if the NBA wants to continue to be one of the top sports leagues in the world, there needs to be more coordination between player availability and fan expectations. In order to lessen the total physical strain on athletes, one possible answer would be to cut the regular season from 82 games. This idea has earned support from certain analysts, but owners who are worried about lost revenue from fewer games played are opposed. Instead of offering compensation regardless of availability, clubs should look into novel ways to encourage participation through contract arrangements that are closely linked to game appearances or performance goals. In conclusion, load management has generated a lot of discussion over its effects on the game and fan experience, even though its goal is to safeguard players' long-term health. This is particularly true when mixed with rumors of lavish vacations. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to subscribe.